So welcome to All for the Lombardi. This is our first time doing this, so please do bear with us. We may screw up things, we may mess up things, we may
stumble over our words.
Yeah, we may do a lot of stuff that you don't want to hear, and I'm sorry, but first time for everything. So I'm Dustin Vargo.
I'm Nathan Farris.
We're both juniors, and since this is an NFL podcast, we probably ought to state our team. So I am a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. I am wearing the Andre Rison jersey today that's a trip in the Wayback Machine.
And I am a Chicago Bears fan. The team that really hasn't been relevant since 2010, 2011. So one of the most historic franchises in the league, but definitely not currently.
Yeah. Well, first, let's just go straight into it. We've had these hurricanes around the country in the last couple weeks, I want to say.
Harvey and
now
Irma, which we'll get into here in a bit.
Yeah, and then there's a whole other one behind there, Jose, but that's another topic. So,
what we want to talk about is real quick. We want to commend J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar, J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans, Houston where Hurricane Harvey hit, has been fundraising recently. And originally, he intended to raise $200,000. He is currently at $27 million. That is astonishing to think about.
Yeah, he's definitely giving back to his community when they really need it.
This is where leaders step up. When communities need them the most, this is where they're leaders.
Absolutely. J.J. Watt will make it to the Hall of Fame, but I hope he makes it to the Hall of Fame. He's that good, but he'll also make it into the hearts and minds of Houstonians along the way.
Houstonians. I like that. I don't know why. That just sounds great.
I think that's the actual term. Somebody on the comment section can correct me if I'm wrong and trash me and do whatever it is people on YouTube do.
Speaking of hurricanes, originally it was going to be 32 teams this week taking the field. Well, now we're already down to 30. Tampa Bay and Miami, it was supposed to be a week 1 game, and now it will not happen because of Hurricane Irma.
Yeah, I believe they're saying that will make landfall early Sunday morning, like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. So there is. And even if the track goes west or east, which they're still trying to decide, that they just can't take chances on that.
Absolutely, I agree. It sucks because they're scheduling it for week 11, and I guess by pure luck, both Tampa Bay, and Miami have bye weeks week 11. So Tampa Bay and Miami, both teams, they're going to play 16 straight weeks this year.
Yeah, and that's kind of when I was first told by Nathan that they were going to play week 11, I'm like, really? They both have their bye that exact week?
Pure luck. That's all it is. It's pure luck. And I just can't imagine players not being happy about. Football is already such a physically demanding game. I can't imagine having to play 16 straight weeks of it, no matter if you love it, no matter how much you love it.
Right. And, I lost my train of thought. Let's move on to the Chiefs-Patriots game last night. Thursday night football, kickoff special, whatever you want to call it, whatever Al Michaels was calling it last night on the call of that great game.
You can, I was about to say, this is your game. You can take the lead for it.
Yeah.
I'll add on every once in a while, but go ahead.
So let me get So in case you didn't watch it, the Chiefs came out, first possession, New England had it. They got into the end zone for the touchdown. And then right afterwards, when the Chiefs come onto the field, the offense, Kareem Hunt, the rookie running back this year, he comes out to the field, they give the ball to him, he runs 2 yards, and he fumbles it. Yep, he fumbles it. So it really didn't seem like it ended up being a good game, and we had some missteps there in the first quarter, and I guess pure luck again. We were 17-14, New England led it at halftime, and then I guess New England collapsed in on itself completely.
Thing is, New England was doing fine offensively in the first half, and then second half came around, they couldn't move the ball. I don't know why. It's Tom Brady. It's the greatest quarterback of all time, but couldn't move the ball.
And I was talking to a good friend of mine. I won't specify who this is, just for the sake of not doing that. They were talking to me, and they said the defense just looked frazzled last night. The New England defense, they just didn't know what was going on. It's not supposed to be that easy for a team to trick the Patriots defense like that, but I guess in this situation.
At home, too. Home game. Real quick, though. There are a lot of key injuries coming out of this game.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane. What I think helped led... not trying to discredit the win, because it was impressive. It was an impressive win by the Chiefs. But once the Patriots left Dante Hightower on defense, it all went downhill. It was all downhill from there.
Yeah, and he had his knee injury in the third quarter. If I'm not mistaken, it was something that he aggravated from an earlier in the preseason. And I guess when he went down, he aggravated that. Also, as we got towards the beginning of the fourth quarter, Danny Amendola left the game with a head injury. I do not know what exactly happened there. I don't have any details on what happened after that. But if Edelman and Amendola are both going to be injured for a while, that will be quite some pressure on the new to New England wide receiver Brandon Cooks there.
It looked pretty explosive last night.
Oh, yeah.
Just think about it. So Julian Edelman tears his ACL in the preseason, which, by the way, 22 ACL tears this preseason. Preseason to be shortened, but that's an argument for another day. And you're like, okay, Tom Brady just lost his big target. But they still have Amendola. Hogan was on a tear last year. Anyone Tom Brady touches turns to gold, I swear. They traded for Dorsett, which is a great pickup. They got Malcolm Mitchell. Well, they had Malcolm Mitchell because he went on the IR. But this Patriots offense is loaded, and they still couldn't find a way to do anything in the second half.
Yeah, and this is what happens every year with New England. They'll have injuries. They'll have guys go down. They'll have new guys come in. Yet they still do awesome. I don't know how. I don't know why.
It's that next man up mentality. That's what it is.
And we'll go to the Chiefs here now. Eric Berry was carted off the field last night after suffering an Achilles tendon. We're unsure whether he's going to be out for the season. It's possible. We'll have more details later today. So by the time this podcast is posted, for example, you may already know.
You'll probably know. A torn Achilles would put Berry out for the year. Yeah. So I got a question. As a Chiefs fan, without Eric Berry, how do you feel? Does this win not mean as much?
I think it's a big win. I think it's a good way to start the season. And honestly, I think getting down Belichick right there at the beginning of the season is a great thing. But, I'm conflicted on that. And another thing I'd like to talk about before we move on here, the penalties last night from the Kansas City Chiefs. Man. And Travis Kelce, tight end, he was the one who threw the towel, who threw his towel, and that was the fake flag last year against the Colts, I want to say, during the season. Well, there was an interview with him and Mike Tirico, I believe, at the beginning of that pregame, and Kelce was going on about, well, I'm not going to be that guy anymore. Well, last night, he sticks a ball down somebody's you-know-what, and that is not good. And we have breaking news coming into the Alfred Lombardi newsroom right now. Eric Berry
has torn his Achilles.
Yeah, and that will be season out?
Season ending.
Yep.
His season lasted a whole 3 quarters.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I'm not even a Chiefs fan. I feel it's going to be bad because Eric Berry is a role model. I think he really is, I hate to repeat exactly what Al Michaels said last night, but, it's an inspiring story. They thought his cancer, his lymphoma, they thought it was going to kill him. They thought he wasn't going to make it, and he just got that huge contract. There's no way you just can't feel bad for him.
And let's move along here. The original next topic was going to be, can the Patriots go 16-0? Well,
Physically impossible now.
Yeah, after last night, that one's not happening. So, can they repeat, though? That will be the question. What do you think they can repeat?
Patriots are still the favorites this year. As long as Tom Brady is still in the league, I can't find it in my heart to doubt him.
Brady and Belichick.
Brady and Belichick. The greatest, I'll say it, the greatest pairing, the greatest coach-player pairing in the history of sports. That's a hot take. That's not even a hot take. That's just truth.
And I'll be honest, this season, if anybody is going to be the one that repeats a Super Bowl in NFL history, if it's ever going to happen, it's going to be this year. That's going to be New England. If anybody's ever going to repeat. In fact, I went ahead and pulled up the odds last night before the game to win the Super Bowl. New England is 13-4 to win. Number 2 is Seattle.
Really?
Really?
That seems like a shot in the dark.
Number 3 is Green Bay. 4 is Pittsburgh. And then number 5 is the Atlanta Falcons, the team who made it to the Super Bowl and lost against them last year. The Falcons are there. They're 12-1, by the way. And they're playing the Bears this weekend on Fox or whatever that network is.
The Bears.
The Bears are currently 200-1 to win the Super Bowl right now.
There's nothing like a good underdog story. No, I honestly, as a Bears fan this year, I'm not sure what to expect. I just want to see the team just be competitive. That's all I want. I want competitive football, and I want an 8-8 season. I want to be realistic. I'm not going to say, oh, we're going to run right through the league and go 16-0, because that's just not realistic. And that reminds me, I'm curious to see how the quarterback position goes the whole year, because we got a certain number 2 overall pick who is scheduled not to play this year. So I think that's something we can talk about in a bit.
I have a little tidbit here just for...
There's 3 quarterbacks on this football team. Whichever one starts. Whichever ones don't, we'll back him up. Period. Cut and dry. It's nobody's concern but ours. Nobody's. Next.
You may not have heard the beginning of that, but that was an old...
That was Mike Ditka, former coach of the Bears, who led the 85 Bears to the Super Bowl, when he was on the Saints, and there was a quarterback controversy, and he said whoever starts.
And it's nobody's business but our own.
Classic Ditka.
Just imagine if that happened in today's league. If a coach went to a press conference and said those words, Goodell would have a fit.
But say a couple more things about the Bears. Speaking of, the injury to Cameron Meredith, the wide receiver this year, has been deflating to say the least. This is we're talking about the Patriots here. But, it's rough. Like I said, injuries, preseason, we can talk about that later. But, and then I think Jordan Howard, he'll be himself. Yeah.
And I'd like to mention something that Nathan actually was a little bit surprised at yesterday when I mentioned it to him. The Bears have the most wins, 65 of them, at all time in home openers. Of course, the Bears are
an original franchise.
Yes, so they would have more since it's been going on since the 20s, the 30s.
The 100-year anniversary coming up. 100-year anniversary of the team. I'd love to go to Soldier Field for that game. That'd be amazing.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Mike, we're talking about quarterbacks here for the Bears, so let's just mention Mike Glennon. He has 30 career touchdown passes and 15 interceptions for an 84.6 quarterback rating. We'll get into a quarterback rating another day because that's a whole nother discussion that we could have. He has passed for 683 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions for a 109.2 in 4 career games against the Atlanta Falcons. And then, you have Jordan Howard, who is ranked 2nd last season in the NFL with 1,313 rushing yards.
Best running back in the league, just saying. I don't know, I want to see. I'll straight up say it. I'm not expecting the Bears to win this week. I really am not. This is against the powerhouse Falcons. This Falcons team, no matter how you splice it, is one of the best offensive teams ever. At least, even I think Kyle Shanahan. I don't think they'll be as good this year because Kyle Shanahan now coaches, in San Francisco. But I think there's too much talent on that team, at least offensively, to not have at least a similar effect.
Okay, let's go ahead and move along here to holdouts. We have 4 holdouts this season. I don't know what I'm thinking. We have Aaron Donald, the defensive tackle of the LA Rams, and we'll just go over this briefly. I was told just before that we started here that he will not be playing this week. Le'Veon Bell, Pittsburgh Steelers, more than likely is going to play this week.
He's gonna play all year. He signed his franchise tag.
Yeah, I've heard he's been doing conditioning and stuff as well, so that's good. And then Dwayne Brown of the Houston Texans, he's an offensive tackle. He is now expected to miss week 1. He hasn't even showed up to the facility in Houston yet.
Wait, at all?
At all.
I didn't even know that. Oh, that's you're getting in suspension terms right about that time.
Well, what he's told him is that he was helping with the Houston hurricane situation, which I understand, but at the same time, even all that time before the hurricane, why didn't he show up? But that's a whole nother topic. And then of course we have Donald Penn, the offensive tackle from the Oakland Raiders. This weekend on Sunday Night Football, we will have the Giants and the Cowboys. Good way to start off the Sunday Night Football.
Al Michaels said it yesterday. Seems like this is always the week one matchup. Every week, every year, it seems like week one Sunday Night Football, no matter what, is Cowboys Giants. I'm not calling the league biased, but the league is biased.
That's a good point. I would be interested in that research. Odell Beckham, he ranked third in the NFL in receptions last year, 101. I'm looking at this stat sheet from the NFL.
That sounds correct.
Okay.
And then, speaking of, he is questionable going into this week, so he might not even play.
Yeah, he had Ian Rappaport this morning said that he has an uphill battle to play this week. So that will be interesting to see. Of course, you have Dak Prescott, who has Dez, Cole Beasley, Jason Witten. That wide receiver team's been there for a while now.
You think Dak's going to have a sophomore slump?
It's possible.
Well, what do you think? Of course it's possible. What do you think?
My friends who are Dallas Cowboys fans may not like this, but I definitely think it's probably he's going to have some sort of slump. We're
not saying he's going to be bad this year because I think Dak Prescott's a very talented quarterback.
And we're not going to say that they have no chance at the playoffs, but that division's going to get a little bit more competitive this year. That's going to be for certain.
And we can't talk about this game without talking about Ezekiel Elliott. If you're not familiar, due to some domestic violence issues, Ezekiel Elliott has been suspended for 6 games. But he is suing the National Football League. And therefore, there is a chance he will play week 1. This is another case where today they're supposed to rule if he's going to play week 1 or not.
Yeah, a federal judge will determine whether he can play while under the suspension.
Under the lawsuit, yeah.
Yeah. How many games was that?
6 games.
6 games.
Yes.
So here's the thing, though. Does he relinquish the lawsuit if the judge rules he can't play?
Probably. I think so.
Because he's going to lose time at that point.
I think at that point it'd just be easier to miss the first 6 weeks of the year.
Yeah, the legal process will take probably years. I mean, how long did Deflategate take? It took almost an entire year before we got some kind of ruling out of that one. We have some new coaches in the National Football League this season. We have some very young coaches and new coaches in the National Football League this season, as a matter of fact. So let me just run through these for you really fast, and we'll talk about maybe 1 or 2 of them. So Buffalo Bills, they fired Rex Ryan last season. He is now working as an analyst on ESPN. He will be the second color guy with Beth Mowins over on the second game of the doubleheader on ESPN Monday night. They hired Sean McDermott, the former Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator. The Denver Gary Kubiak retired. He's had some health issues since when he was back in Houston. Now Vance Joseph, who is the former Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator, has now been hired there. Gus Bradley was fired in Jacksonville. That one, I'll be honest, that one kind of took a little while. Shad Khan, the owner, was very...
I never thought it would ever happen. I thought it would take them going 0-16 for Gus Bradley to get fired at this point.
Yeah, Shad Khan was being very optimistic with that. But he finally is out, and now Doug Marrone, you may remember him from when he just up and quit Buffalo after the new owners came in there.
Another guy who I thought would never get another head coaching job. Because the Bills those years, they weren't bad, they were just bland.
Yeah. Just
nothing special about them.
And then the LA Chargers, now it's LA Chargers, which will be interesting as we go into this season. Anthony Lynn. They got rid of Mike McCoy. You know what? I actually kind of like Mike McCoy, but I mean...
So do I.
He went 27-37 though, so I mean, I guess it's time eventually.
That was a surprising one to me.
Yeah. I think the NFL has gotten a little overzealous. The owners have gotten a bit more overzealous about firing people, but again, another topic, another day. The other LA team, Los Angeles Rams, finally got rid of Jeff Fisher last year. He did like 10, 11 years. Well, no, not really. But he's been in the league forever, literally. They hired Sean McVay, who is the youngest person to become a head coach, excluding the players' coaches when they did that technique back in the 1920s in NFL history. He is 30 years old. We'll have to see how that one goes.
It's crazy. There are players on that team older than him.
Wow, that's quite a thought. San Francisco, Chip Kelly fired. He went to ESPN to be a college football analyst. Kyle Shanahan, a man who he's been on the coaching short list also forever. I'm surprised it took him this long to get a coaching job, a head coaching job that is, in the league. I mean, he's been a good coach for Atlanta in the last many years that he's done that. And the team he did before, I can't remember if it was the 49ers or what. And let's move into and speaking of new things in the league this year, you have 4 rookie quarterbacks. We'll run through them really fast in case you're not aware. Mitchell Trubisky, of course, the Bears fan.
Yeah. The future. Maybe the current. Continue, though.
Mitchell Trubisky of the Chicago Bears. Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. I got some comments about that one. Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans, who's actually on my fantasy team. I can't remember if he's starting week 1 or not. He might honestly be. I'm a little bit iffy about that one. And Deshaun Kaiser from the Cleveland Browns.
Yep. So I think I put this down as a possible storyline, or we did. Excuse me. I apologize. Because these are 4 quarterbacks with legitimate chances to play. I think really, with supposed legitimate chances to play, I think really only 2 truly, well actually no, one of them starting, excuse me. Deshaun Kaiser is the quarterback. Tom Savage is still starting in Houston. So Deshaun Watson, even though they used the first round pick on him, Deshaun Watson is still on the bench.
So I don't even know why NFL.com decided to pick him up in my fantasy league automatically. I'll have to look into that one.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I'll write that down really fast. Check fantasy.
But I think actually I was going to say something about Mahomes, but this is your topic.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, man. You know, the Chiefs fans, the Chiefs kingdom, sometimes certain members of our kingdom, as with any team, they're also like these NFL owners. They want change fast, and if they don't like it in that moment, by gosh, it's never going to be good. And I guess that's what they feel about Alex Smith. In fact, there's been the Twitter hashtag campaign for a while, hashtag bench Alex Smith. I think it's too early, and I honestly think Alex Smith proved himself last night very well, as a matter of fact.
386 yards, I'm pretty sure. Is that the correct number?
I believe so.
386 yards, 4 touchdowns. Probably the best game of his career, to be honest.
Yeah, and actually, he is the only 368 yards, but yeah. He is the only, I read this one this morning, he is the only person in the Bill Belichick era, the only opposing quarterback to have thrown for 300 plus yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against Belichick in that whole era. That's been insane. That's been since the 2000s, basically.
That's
2002,
crazy.
2003, when that started off. But anyway, it is too early to start Mahomes. If Smith starts doing bad this season, I'll consider it. But Alex Smith, not Smith, proved himself to me last night during that game.
And real quick, before I cover Mitchell Trubisky, I think Deshaun Watson, if the Texans find it early, I think Deshaun Watson will come in. I think Deshaun Watson is a misstep away from being the starting quarterback of the Texans. So maybe that's why they drafted him in your fantasy league.
I don't know.
An eye for the future. But Mitchell Trubisky was, I'm not going to lie, so the Bears traded up to get Mitchell Trubisky, and I freaked out. I had a true mark-out fan moment. That was it was incredible. And I've been excited for this kid ever since. The Bears haven't had a franchise guy to lead them to success in the history of their franchise. Our best franchise quarterback is Jay Cutler, who I think gets too much crap in the media, but he's not a guy. He's not going to lead you to the Super Bowl. I'm self-conscious of that. I knew Jay Cutler was never going to lead us anywhere. I think Trubisky can be that. But I've been saying it to anyone who I've told this topic to. Now that they've decided to not play Trubisky, I want them to commit. Either way, I want them to commit. I don't think Trubisky should play a single game this year.
Impromptu here, but 30 seconds. What are your thoughts on Jay Cutler being the Dolphins? What do you think the Dolphins are doing?
I think it's a great fit. I think because if you're not familiar, Adam Gase is he's the head coach of the Dolphins now, the former offensive coordinator of the Bears, And the 1 year he was in Chicago, Jay Cutler had his best year. So Jay Cutler is the perfect fit for that offense, and is the perfect fit for 1 year when Tannehill comes back and we got a controversy on our hands. Possibly, who knows?
Well, a game further down on our Week 1 slate is going to be the Colts and the Rams. I believe it's a 4:25 game, if I'm not mistaken. And that will be interesting because Andrew Luck is out this week with his shoulder, and Scott Tolzien will be the starting quarterback Week 1 for the Indianapolis Colts facing the Los Angeles Rams. And just an anecdotal note before we start getting into this topic. The other day I was looking at my weekly pick 'em on NFL.com, and I was surprised about the number of people who were really unsure about who's going to win that game, because I expected the Colts to have a bigger number, maybe 75-70% going for them in that game. It's actually 60-40. 40% of people were actually fairly confident that the Rams are going to win Week 1.
Yeah, talk about a marquee quarterback matchup. You get Scott Tolzien versus Jared Goff. And Jared Goff, the number 1 pick from last year, reminds me so much of Tim Tebow. It is frightening. That's just my opinion. Maybe a Rams fan will jump down my throat for that, but his mannerisms, his lack of accuracy, just reminded me of Tim Tebow. Due to some technical difficulties.
By me.
Yeah? Well, by both of us. We're going to have to end the show prematurely. Unfortunately, we lost the original ending of this show.
Which was playoff predictions.
Playoff predictions, which will lead off next week's show. So that's something to look forward to. Hopefully keep you interested to tune in next week.
See you Tuesday.
And see you probably Tuesday.
Yeah.
And God bless America. God bless football.
God bless you.
Go Bears.